Hey people, today we're going to actually look at Warhammer Adventures. I did originally want to review the book Apocalypse, which is a new book. Not new, but it's about uh, 41st Millennium. This is Attack of the Necron, the first book in the series. A lot of people, when this book came out, they didn't really like it just by looking at it. I mean, people complained about the fact that there's a chick as one of the main characters, or that she's darker skinned. Really, I don't have any opinion on it. I just don't care. First off, I'd like to say that pretty much every single preconception people had about this was wrong. I mean, people were complaining about the fact that, oh, actually, he invents things, he would have been killed. Well, we learn in the lore that he barely escaped being killed, which honestly, I think the whole inventing things leads to instant death is stupid because we already know Belisarius Call exists. We already know that the Land Raider was created by a guy named, Arkenland or whatever his name was. So invention clearly exists in the Warhammer, not only the Warhammer 40k universe, but the Imperium in general definitely does see some inventing and some technological progress, which is commented on, interestingly enough, in Apocalypse. But I'll pull up that specific page in a later video. Like I said, or going back, this character was also critiqued as a dude who was a ganger. People said he would, fall to Slanesh or something, chaos in general, for the crime of, not being drafted. Necromunda has existed since I think almost the very beginning of Warhammer 40k, and yeah, those gangers do not fall to chaos. So he's just a regular ganger, like Necromunda, except not as extreme. Necromunda is known as like the most extreme of the Hive worlds when it comes to that kind of stuff. Uh, she in general is just a like rich pacifist person, and unfortunately, I didn't screen cap anything. I don't think actually it gets addressed too much in this book, but in Claws of the Gene Stealer, it does get addressed that yeah, she's an idiot for uh, not being able to use weapons, and it's very pointed. It's pointed out very clearly that you do in fact have to kill things when things are going to kill you. Being a pacifist is not a good idea. Life in the 41st millennium is hard. Yeah, that's an understatement. Ruled by the Emperor of Mankind, humans have spread across the galaxy, inhabiting millions of worlds, planets. They've achieved so much, yet billions live in fear. The universe is a dangerous place teeming with alien horrors. But it also is a place bristling with adventures and wonderful battles are won and heroes are forged. This is both true. Everything put in here is true. That's a fair assessment. There is no grim darkness, actually, which I think is fair. The whole idea that people have that in the books everything starts off with the universe is grim and dark. Well, that might be true, but as I've gone over previously, when you die as a loyal servant of the emperor, you go to heaven. So, or the emperor's version of heaven, whatever you want to call it. Uh, it's clearly stated in the book Celestine. It's clearly stated in, well, I mean, it's a fairly new addition to the lore that yeah, if you die, you go to heaven. But I like it. I like it honestly. And people who say like the Imperium is fascist or whatever, I mean, it's not. But whatever. It's a stupid just point in general. Okay, so one of the things I noticed are these small winged robots, which Meki is very adamant are not artificial intelligence. They are blessed machine spirits. Yeah, sure. That is something that I think is stupid. But aside from that, okay, so it's the line about Talon the Ganger, and this is actually very interesting. We look at a veteran who fought orcs, and this guy, he's a cool guy. His dad's the cool guy who fights aliens, and I don't see this side. You don't see this side often, where it's the average citizen and their view on the Imperium or the aliens. Like, you have to remember, these people are not living in the same conditions we are. This is a universe where everyone's determined to destroy them. So there really isn't an option of I want to be a coward. You have to fight. Uh, Interesting that it was a volunteer. He did choose to join, and he's trying to force his son to join. This is again part of the initial siege when the Necrons begin their assault on the Hive world, and yeah, it would absolutely suck being a kid and having to think about the fact that your dad is fighting the Necrons, especially when they see what the Necrons actually do. And get this, you're not going to believe this. I don't blame you, but these are actual real screen caps, and it talks about the fact that Talon quite literally sees the Astra Militarum doing jack diddly squat. They can't even hurt the Necrons, and yeah, the when the Necrons shoot back, the humans turn into dust, which honestly is a bit worse than what happens to in that one cinematic where it shows humans getting hit by Necron weapons, and that battle sister manages to survive thanks to her armor. Uh, yeah, that was just an interesting line. In this one, the guardswoman hits a Necron with a grenade, shatters it, and then the Necron reforms within seconds. Uh, the Space Marines fight. They join in. I'm not sure exactly how, but it gets well. When the book first came out, I was like, well, that's stupid. There's not a Space Marine chapter on every Hive world. Why are there Space Marines here? Turns out, in like the very last book, it gets revealed that yeah, the Space Marines were hunting these particular uh, fucking Necrons pretty much the entire time. And yeah, the entire planet explodes and the Space Marines lose. So yeah, that's interesting. And another thing that got like talked about was, oh, it's stupid. They're gonna have the that old dude. At least that common trope of the adults are all useless. No, in this case, Aramus, the adult, commits suicide. Actually, um, suicide by explosion, where he basically this Necron is hunting. It's a Necron hunter, and it's looking for this Necron artifact. And the Lex mechanic is like, "Yes, I have the artifact," and then blows himself up because, surprise, it's not an artifact; it's a bomb. Uh, yeah, that was pretty much the most interesting things, the most interesting parts of the book. There's also a line where that kid, what's his face, Riz, he gets shot by um, a Necron in the back, but unfortunately, I forgot to screenshot it. Don't worry, it is an actual part of the book. I would recommend it for a young adult or like teenagers, I guess, is what this is pointed at. Like, this book is intended for what, 14-year-olds, I guess. I don't know, but I mean, if that's who you are, it is a good, decent book, a decent way to get into Warhammer 40k. I would say. The problem is the Warhammer 40k universe is definitely not meant for kids. If you like, I think we all know of the Demoncula or whatever it's called, which is basically nightmare fuel. Not to mention some of the old lore is just really creepy and written by authors who probably were just trying to get their rocks off. Uh, I think we all remember that text to speech episode where they talk about that podcast where they talk about that book Inquisitor, I think it's called. Just really creepy book, weird, not suitable for kids, not safe for work at all. But In conclusion, I would definitely rate this book an 8 out of 10 in terms of how well it was written. It's a decent book. And attention to lore, 10 out of 10. No, not 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I got to subtract a point because I've never seen anything like these whimsical little sprites. That's just wrong. The if it was like a servo skull, I could see it. I mean, there are servo skulls. The fucking Inquisitor later in the book has a servo skull, who's like his inquisitorial teacher, mentor, whatever, who was, and then he turns her into a servo skull after she dies. That's about it. Yeah, it's decent book. Definitely not deserving of all the hate it got, in my opinion. But it just out of curiosity, did I did have very negative impressions of the book just looking at this, but first impressions aside, it was a very good book. Definitely recommend it.